Hi, I wanted to actually show you how to make a bag out of cardstock. This is actually a bag I made. I've seen how to make bags from, DSP, but I've never seen like if it could be done with cardstock. It can really be done with any kind of, paper. This one's made from DSP. And so obviously it's not as strong. And I got the inspiration from Paper Pumpkin. They had when was this? Back in 2019, they had this great what's the word? They had this great kit that had all these bags inside it and all these tags that went with it. And it's just the perfect size bag. As you can see, like here's my hand. So it's just a small bag, but it's nice and deep. Sometimes when you find these at the Dollar Tree, they're not deep enough and they're just not big enough. So like this is perfect for quite a few treats, as well as a card inside, so it's just the right size. This one is my favorite, obviously, because, I just made this one from DSP because I wanted you to see how it was made, just that it is possible, but it's just not as thick. But when you have it with cardstock, it's just so sturdy. I'm sorry, I'm losing my paper. I took all this time to get it straight. It's just not as sturdy. And so when you have it, with cardstock, it's like super sturdy, and even adding the ribbon to it, it makes it just quite a nice gift bag that you can have. So I wanted to show you how to make a gift bag like that. So I went ahead and I pre-cut all of the cardstock, and I actually already did the tag. So the cardstock, you'll need one piece of 11 by 7 1/4. So this is almost a full sheet of cardstock here. Then you'll need one piece of 3.5 by 7 1/4. And I believe that's this piece, yep. And you'll need one piece that's 4.5 by 2. That's this little piece here. You'll need 2 of these pieces. Oh, and the piece that I forgot was this piece on the outside. This piece goes on the outside to cover your seam. Let's see, what size is this? This is 4.5 by 5.5. That's what I thought. So let me add that on there. So where's my little marker? Yeah. So then there's 4 1/2 by 5 1/2. Okay, so I was missing that one piece. All right, so I'm going to set these little pieces aside, and I'm going to get out my scoring. You can also use a scoring board. Oh, and then we're going to score it at in these areas here, and I'll show this to you again later. Let me move my little stuff off. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of this piece is the oops, I keep moving. I should have just taped it down so it wouldn't move. This is the 3.5 by 7.5, and you're gonna score it at 1/2 inch. And I'll be honest, let me move this down so you can see. I didn't realize that I could use this side of the, I'll be honest, I didn't realize I could use this side as a ruler. So I would have been trying to match it here and hold it and read it through the plastic. And I don't need to do that. I actually can just, if I put it over here on this side, it will measure 1/2 off of this side over here. Okay, this is the half mark. There's 1 inch. Looks like it goes to 1.5. Okay, so I'm going to score 1/2. Now put your sharp one, the cutting one, up at the top and away, and then use your scoring one. You don't know how many times I've cut a piece of paper when I meant to score. All right, so it's gonna have this nice little 1/2 inch mark. And I do that almost looks like a 1/4 inch. Nope, it's 1/2 inch. Okay, it looks small. And what I'm going to do with that is I do it like that so I can make sure I get a clean, that's our paper trimmer. I do this so I can make sure I get a clean image for my, so I can get a clean image, oops, paste. So I can get a clean image, or not image, so I can get a clean line to be able to put my tear and tape. So I'm using tear and tape here. This is Just Jade cardstock. You can use any adhesive you like. I just happen to like the tear and tape when I'm putting together something 3D because it's pretty strong, but there's also red line tape that was really strong, but it's kind of hard to peel off the stuff. There's also Tombow wet glue. If you're someone that doesn't want the commitment of of the permanency of something like tear and tape, then you could use the Tombow wet glue too. And let's go ahead and put a little, yeah, there we go, line it up. Use that little line there, right? Oh, it looks like my water got on there. All right, so you're gonna have this little seam, okay, but we're gonna hide this, so don't worry. And then I go back to my scoring tool and I'm going to score it in these areas here. Okay, and so I'm going to score it at 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, and 7.5 inches, and 8.5 inches, and 9.5 inches. Okay, so you can use a scoring board, but sometimes my hand is just not, you know, steady enough to get on those lines, but it is quite long, so it is a little tricky. Okay, so I'm just going to start with 1 inch. Okay, so we got 1 inch. Let me make sure that's straight. Okay, 1 inch. All right, and then we've got 2 inches. You can buy anything on FabulousStamper.com. So this is the paper trimmer. And then here we go, 3 inches. Just keep going up. And then we need to go to 7.5. So I need to make my little arm go out. Okay. So let me go to all the way to 7.5 over here. All right. And here we go there. And 8.5. Right, and then 9.5. Pardon the cats. It's because they came out in the front room. They're like, oh, that means it's playtime. All right, so, oh, and then we have to score it in the long ways at, oh gosh, good thing I have my other notes here. We have to score it at 5.5 on the width. And then 5 1/2, whoops, on the short side. Okay, so you're going to score it at 5.5 on the short side here. Okay, so let me put my arm back. And that way you have that. So I guess I thought I had everything right. So because it's too long, what we are going to do is we're going to fold some of the scored lines, and then it makes it easier for us to score it. So let me do, oops. It's like a little accordion. You fold it, because this is like the side of the bag, you know, and then we fold this again like a little accordion, because this will be the side of the bag. Okay, sorry to repeat myself. It's just the nature of being a teacher, and I think it's also just my personality. Okay. All right, and so Just want to make sure there's no comments. Okay. All right, so this is eventually, you can see that the bag's going to take shape here. And I just folded that down because now that I have this nice little fold here, I can easily score 5.5 inches. Make sure you've still got the scoring tool. I'm like super careful when I'm scoring just to make sure I don't make that mistake. Okay, scoring tool, not cutter. Okay. All right. All right. And it might have actually gone through. Not exactly. So I think I'll fold it again to make sure I can get it all the way through that one area. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Went through some of it. It'll just make it easier for when we have to, yeah, this looks like this one's good, but when we have to fold it 5.5 again. All right, good. All right, so I did it all just with this paper trimmer. Now the large ones, the large scoring tool. Whoops, I'm so sorry. The large scoring tool is awesome. It just, you need a little bit of a steady hand, in all honesty. Okay, so now we're gonna do one thing before we start folding it together. We're gonna put this piece on to cover the seam. Yeah, here's my seam. I almost thought that was a scoring line. It's easier to put this piece on. This is the piece that the 4.5 by 5.5. We're gonna put this right on here to cover the seam. I'm sure there are probably some other ways it could have been done to not have a seam and make it fancy and put the seam in the center, but I kind of like the idea of keeping it simple so that I didn't have to, get too crazy with the measurements. I'm just using the same width of the cardstock. I'm not doing anything fancy, you know. Let me put a little bit here. You could use any glue you want. I'm just going to use the tear and tape because it's out. I could have used something else because it's going on the side. I could have even used my stamp and seal. All right. It's just, from experience, I want to cover this seam up, and I didn't do it. I did it after I'd folded the bag, and that was not ideal. Oh, I got a little bit. Okay. All right, let's see. I decided I wanted to make these cute bags. I'm making little gifties, and I wanted these cute bags to coordinate, and so I was like, oh, this Just Jade is a nice coordinating color with these little snails. These are actually snail mail. This came in a paper pumpkin, and so did this. This came in this month's paper pumpkin, but it coordinates with the snail mail stamp set in the catalog. So now we have our little accordion fold again. We have it all accordion folded. All right, and as you can see, it's going to go right, this flap is going to match right up with that flap. So I need to put the tear and tape all along this flap here. And I always double check it before I put the tear and tape down, because if you do it just wrong, you're going to put it on the wrong end, you know, and then what are you going to do? Or I always do it on the tab instead of on the other piece, because then I know I've got the right width, and then there's nothing inside the bag that, there we go. I love tear and tape. I just love it. Okay, press that down, pull off the little pieces, and there's something satisfying about pulling off these little pieces. It's funny. All right, we'll just fold that. Although I have to say I have to get rid of those little pieces when I'm done, because, well, I obviously pick up my trash, but my cats will eat them. They're typical kitties, always getting into something. I just measure it right up, get it against the edge. There you go. All right. So there we go. Now I'm gonna just making a little bag. All right. Then what you do now, oh, that's right. What you do now is you then fold this up toward the top. Okay. All right. That's all pressed down. You fold this up towards the top. Okay. Then it's a little harder with cardstock, because with cardstock you really have to press it down. Then you fold the corner down here. Now, get your scorer. The cardstock is hard to fold this way, but it's such a nice bag when it's done. It's such a nice sturdy bag. I feel like it's worth the effort. It is a little tough. So if you need someone, you just want to get this edge to match this edge here. So you're going to do a full triangle down. So it's a little triangle. Okay. Okay, and I use my scoring tool. All right. And then when I unfold it, I have the perfect little arrows to go in. You're gonna press it in like a little, oh, that one got a little funny. You're gonna press it in like a little gift. All right, press it in like a little gift. Whoops, come on. There we go. It's fighting me a little. That's, the cardstock is a little rough sometimes, but all right, so you make sure you're getting that trapezoidal edge. All right, there we go. That's why I was giving it a hard time. I have to get this to go inside. There we go, my bad. Okay, so you wanna get these to go inside. Then you have these little trapezoidal edges, okay? And they will fold on top. And I know this looks ugly right here, but trust me, it's going to work in just a second. We will fold that down. So I'm just gonna put a little tear and tape on the inside here, just so it stays. So I'm just putting a little tear and tape there, and then I have the hot glue gun, which I love. I always use a hot glue gun if I need it. I always find that on 3D objects, if you have the chance to use a hot glue gun, it's always helpful. All right, so I actually just put it up like this, and I take my bone folder, press it down just a touch, okay? There we go. So it's just barely touching, barely tagged on the bottom here, and you'll see these big holes, but we're gonna press that down and it will seal the hole, okay? So as you can see, the hole will fill, and I will put a piece in here to make it look nice and firm. Okay, so this is the piece of 4.5 by 2, and we're gonna put this down in the bottom to not only firm up the folds, but also, there we go. Sorry to keep pressing it. I just wanna make sure it's nice and sturdy. Not only to firm up the folds, but also to make it look nicer. You can see on the inside, I don't know if you can tell, I'll turn a little light towards it. You can see on the inside that, it's kind of bad looking. And so once I put this in the inside, it'll cover it up. And so I just use a little hot glue for that. All right, I have my little, I just squirt a little bit in, and then I press down with my bone folder in my hand, and I don't even make it look pretty in there. I just literally squirt some in. There we go. Let me set that aside, work quickly. Let's get this down, make sure it's all the way on the edge. You don't have to glue it down, but I find that when I do, now you could use any adhesive. I just like the hot glue because it's nice and strong. And there you go. Now it's nice and pretty inside. Ooh, this one came off. There we go. I'm gonna put a little hot glue here. Make sure this one stays. There we go. Because that one is not staying. There we go. There we go. So this needed a little hot glue on the bottom to make sure it stayed. Pull off that little piece. There we go. So now I've got a nice inside and a nice outside. Then I have this glue, or this ribbon here. So to measure my ribbon, I figured, like, what is my loop going to be? I was trying to decide, like, how big do I want my loop? Okay, that's about right. So I just measure generally like what I want it to look like. I make that end just to make sure I have the same size ribbon. Okay, and where are my little snips? Right, here's my little snip. I don't know how long it is. Well, and it also depends on what you want it for. If you want them to be longer, you could make them longer. All right, so I just measured it by eye. I make sure it's in half. I fold it in half, and then I cut it again. So now I have 2 perfect lengths that I can use. Now this is the peacock, and even though jade, it's just jade, this ribbon is the peacock, and what's the name of it? It's the reversible old olive and pretty peacock ribbon, reversible ribbon. And it's so pretty, and it's shimmery on one side, and I like the shimmery old olive on the one side and the peacock on the other. Now, putting holes in the end is a little difficult. So you can do it like they do in any bag. You know how inside the bag they'll put a little piece of cardboard to kind of hold the handle? Well, that's all we're gonna do here. I use the hot glue gun. You could use something else that's strong. Now, if you have another type of glue that you like to use that's really strong, I recommend that. I wouldn't use anything that's like an Elmer's glue. I don't know if it'll hold fabric very well, okay? And then I just kind of figure out where I want to place it. I don't make it an exact measurement because I'm not quite sure. I mean, I just feel like, I don't know, you can just give it an eye. This one has the seam on this side, so I think I'm just going to put it right there in those 2 areas. And make sure you have the little, it's not twisted around, so you know it's flat. So I have it flat, 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 and I'm going to make sure that I glue down these little ends, okay? So let me get the glue again, and I literally just put a little bead across, a little line of hot glue. Okay, and I'm gonna attach one end and attach another end. Just work quickly. You could use your bone folder. Whoops, it came off. You can use your bone folder if you want it to stay. And then I grab my little 2-inch, not 2 inch, this is like 1 inch, I think, and I lay it inside. Okay, whatever glue you want. And I just lay it inside. So all I did was I'm not sure if you can see, but I just added this piece of cardstock to where I put the handle. It's a little bit off center, but I'm not too worried about it because I don't know, I don't worry that much about that kind of stuff. And part of it was because it came off. And so same thing, I'm gonna turn it over and do the same thing again with the other side. These are 4" by 1 1/4. And these are actually from a scrap that you're gonna have left over from your cutting. So this one, I didn't even measure it. It was this width of scrap, and I cut it to 4 inches. All right, and here's my other, just set that up there. I think I'll put the glue there to hold it out of the way, okay? And let me see if I can get it in a good spot. All right, same thing, take my bead of glue, go across, whoops, oopsie, it's moved on me, because usually I do this when it's standing up, but for the video, I'm trying to like make it visually. All right, and let's see, let me make sure it's about the same height, yeah. And I'm just eyeballing it, nothing fancy, okay. And let me put this in. You can always add more glue later if it starts to come up. There we go. All right, perfect. All right. This is where I really wanted it to be when I was making it. When I was planning it, I wanted it to be about right here. And so this one's a little bit crooked, but as soon as I turn it over, you really can't tell it's crooked or not crooked. Whoops, let me put the hot glue away before I burn myself. All right, and so, sorry, I just want to make sure it didn't, let me put that there, burn anything. Okay, so here's my piece. Here's my little bag. And then I made this is Melon Mambo. I think this is like 2.5 to 3 inches wide or something. It's wider than this. This is the trio flag punch, I believe, the trio flag punch. And it cuts 3 different sizes of flags on the end. So it doesn't fit exactly in here. That's why I think it's 2.5. The width, the largest width is 2 inches. And I stuffed it in here and then I trimmed off any excess. And look how cute. I think I'll put it in the center. I thought I'd put it to the side, but because the heart is so wide from the paper pumpkin, I think I'll put it right here. And I'll just use hot glue because I have it with me. Let me make sure I have another piece ready. Okay, I use hot glue if I have it. Why not? And hot glue is so cheap. Other glues are a little more expensive. And then I just press it on. Oh, there we go. How cute is that? So it's a perfect little Valentine bag for my friend. And as you can see, you can make them as elaborate or simple as you want. All these pieces on the very top came from Paper Pumpkin. And this came from an add-on that's included with the Paper Pumpkin. It's an add-on that came with the Paper Pumpkin. That's $10, and it comes with these little snails, and it comes with a little little boxes of treat boxes that you can put candy in, and these will fit 2 little Kit Kats. They're not very deep, but it's just a sweet little treat. And so you get 20 of those and 1 of these if you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber. You can't buy them unless you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber. It's an exclusive add-on. And then this little card, the heart, came from the current Paper Pumpkin, and it was supposed to go on a card, but I thought, let me use it for my little tag. And I didn't add, to or from, because I thought maybe they'll re-gift it, maybe, who knows. And so I thought, how sweet. And then this was one that I made last year for a retreat, and I just love this paper. And our challenge was to make something that was grateful, like, or gratitude. And I thought, well, I'll make a little thing. And this was a scrap of ribbon I happened to have, and I cut it in half. It was just right to do the handles. And this is an old DSP, an old designer series paper. And I thought this would be fun for Valentine's too, because her favorite color is purple, so I thought that would be fun. So I hope you enjoyed my little video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day and a great Valentine's Day. You can get anything you need at FabulousStamper.com.